Ah. Ammo to your left. Barracuda ammo, I think.
What is going on, guys? Craig 1287 here, bringing you my video review of Scourge Outbreak. Now, Scourge Outbreak is a indie game being made on the PC. It is available on Steam, and it's a third-person shooter. It's actually pretty darn enjoyable to play. Now, before I get into the actual gameplay and aspects of the game itself, I do want to touch on, seeing as how it is a PC game, the settings. And one of the most important aspects is the video settings. A lot of times, indie games don't exactly go all out with letting you customize the graphical aspects of a game. And thankfully, Scourge Outbreak does give you plenty of different options. You can even do the smooth frame rate, which I'm not a fan of, just like VSync, not a fan of it. But they let you change level of detail, world detail, shadows, texture resolutions, and they even have hardware physics, or physics, not the actual feature from nVidia called physics. So props to these guys on what they've done with the settings. Now, for the actual gameplay, the game delivers. Initially, after seeing some of the early trailers and just having not really heard of the game, which is typically the most, it's going to be pretty common for a indie game, is you haven't heard of it. It doesn't have the massive marketing budget that something like Mass Effect would have. So just because of that, I didn't have the highest of hopes for Scourge Outbreak. However, after playing with some of the TG guys, we were just going through the whole campaign through co-op, and we had an amazing, enjoyable experience. As you can tell, it is a third-person shooter. It's got cover-based mechanics, which is nothing new, but it feels solid. They did a good job. It definitely is able to capture the cover that Mass Effect and Gears of War that they have had over the past few years. It does a good job, and you definitely are going to need to use cover fairly often. This is not really a tactical shooter, but it is easy to die. If you guys get flanked, and you will, the AI in this is pretty darn good. They will flank, so you have to do the flanking as fast as you can before the enemy does. And so yeah, like I said, they will flank, and when they do, you will go down pretty quick. We were playing this on just the medium difficulty, and there was a lot of times where we just reached these situations that were very, very tricky, and it just took not necessarily trial and error in the sense that there was only one way to get through it, but it was just a very difficult situation with a lot of elevation taking place, and we were getting shot from multiple angles. So we had to really, really pay attention to how our cover was. And there you can see some of the physics going on with the destruction of the glass. And it's actually really cool because the way that it does shatter makes it very difficult to see the enemies, and that actually plays a role quite a few other times throughout the game where you are shooting the enemies through the glass, and it's pretty risky. Now, what you're seeing here are some of the abilities. Each player has abilities. I have these two different abilities. You can throw out that shield that you can shoot through, and as long as it's going, it's using up your energy there. You can see in the top right of my screen. But you can also use a sort of force push ability, and that uses up good chunks amount of energy, but it is very effective. I ended up using that much more often than I did use that shield. And similar to how Halo Combat Evolved ended up, is you spend a good chunk of the game fighting your usual militaristic faction that are shooting back at you with guns, but then all of a sudden, out of almost nowhere, the game takes a real dark shift, and you end up fighting these melee-focused creatures that are incredibly aggressive, in most cases very quickly, and as you can see here, they can climb around on the walls and on the ceiling, and it really changes up your gameplay. These ended up being some of our most challenging times in the game, because these are not guys that are dropping ammo once you kill them. They're not dropping guns, so you have to be very cautious with how you spend your ammunition. You can't just go crazy guns blazing. And these dudes really hurt. I mean, these are just some of the smaller dudes, and I mean, you saw there, I almost died just taking on maybe 3 or 4 of the little small guys. So you really gotta watch how you play against these two different factions, the species versus the guys that your usual shooting back at you. Overall, the challenge of the game is awesome. It felt very enjoyable. It felt very satisfying when killing these guys. The only one problem I had fighting these dudes, these creatures here, is that even once they were killed, if you shot them, you would get the hit marker notifications on your crosshair, which can be confusing and definitely added to the whole going through your ammo a lot quicker. Because if you didn't actually get the kill, XP, and one of your teammates did, you didn't know that the creature was already dead, and all you see is that you're still getting the hit marker notifications. These weapons are incredibly satisfying to shoot. The different attachments that you can put on these were very cool. One of the weapons that is one of the main ones that I use, it's the one I'm using right now, it's just a faster rate of fire version of the standard Firefly. And the sound differential between the two was awesome. The guys did a great job with the sound design in this game. The graphics and effects are really good. It's just a fun game, really. The scripting is not the best. The story is not the best. Some of the voice acting is pretty comical, but it's just a fun ride. It's going through a B movie. Kind of something you'd see on the Sci-Fi Channel as a sci-fi original. But guys, it's not an expensive game. This is nowhere near something like a $60 game, and you get to have these really epic fights like this, taking on these flying vehicles and blowing them up with sticky grenades. And the game has its moments. Check it out. I highly recommend this as a co-op game for you and your buddies to just play along with. Get the 4-pack on Steam and just pick a night, pick a weekend where everybody can hop on at the same time and just go through the campaign. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to, none of us got a chance to do the multiplayer because I guess we were playing this so early, the game had just come out, and we had gotten keys from the developers to be able to do this review, and so we just didn't have enough people online in the multiplayer to ever really get to experience that. But based on the actual weapon handling in the campaign, I can imagine it being a very fun thing to do. So hopefully one day I will get a chance. Hopefully this game does well enough and it gets a nice little cult following, and I can rock out some multiplayer with some of you guys maybe one day. But until then, definitely check it out for the campaign co-op. It is very enjoyable, and again, it's not a very expensive game. So guys, check out this indie game, Scourge Outbreak. It's tons of fun, and you'll enjoy every moment of it. Have a good one. Ta-ta.